Hello everybody, welcome to another episode. This is actually the first proper episode of the series Programming with Gaming, so let's check it out. I'm going to show you where the journey begins. We'll tackle the question of what programming language will accompany us on our quest in more detail today. But first, let's talk about Diablo 4. I need more spirit. The funny part is I actually heard I need more spinach. That probably is not a good war cry. Diablo as a franchise is the father of all modern hack and slash. From the trailers, beta tests and merch, it looks like the fourth installment will throw Lilith, the Blessed Mother, against her former lover and also the father of the sanctuary in Narios. Just like those two, eternal enemies. So is Linux and Windows, the operating systems from our everyday life. Now imagine what has to happen for such competitors to actually fully agree on something. Because this is a time we live in. Both Linux and Windows want to incorporate the same still fresh programming language into their kernels or their hearts. The language I'm talking about is called Rust, which also happens to be voted the most loved programming language by one of the biggest surveys in our space done by Stack Overflow. Oh yeah, and it happens to be voted the most loved language for 7 years in a row now. I honestly don't think that's a coincidence. It's like calling Hades a coincidence for winning Game of the Year award in 4 different award shows in 2021. No, it's not a coincidence. Supergiant Games have been doing stellar job since Bastion. Trust me on this one, Hades is worth a try. Now to give Rust a fair try, we'll have to install 2 things. Rust itself and an IDE. Technically, you're free to use any editor you want, like Helix for example, which I did an overview for, which is gonna be linked somewhere in here. But if you are considering that, I assume you're more advanced user, so you can configure it on your own. So yeah, have a blast, have fun. We will install now Rust. To install it, we're gonna head over to Rust website, which looks like this. And we're gonna hit that big yellow Get Started button. If you're using Linux or Unix-like system, for example macOS, you can just go in here and copy this command. Next, we're gonna open a terminal, paste the command, and run it. The defaults of the installer are perfectly fine, so you can just hit 1 to continue. And that's pretty much it. If by any chance you've got Rust already installed like I do, you can go Rust app update just to be sure. Now I've got the latest version, so we're good here. If you're a Windows user, you have to hit other installation methods. Going into here, you can just search for Windows, and there's quite a few references in here, but all in all, probably the easiest one is to just use graphical user interface installer, so you can scroll down and find it. And I assume on all modern PCs you will use this one. In terms of the IDE, we're gonna install one of the JetBrains IDEs just because it works the same way on Windows and on Linux or macOS, so it's gonna be the same whatever platform you're using. So I'm just gonna Google JetBrains and then hit the first link. Here in the main page you can hit the developer tools in here, and there's quite a few to be picked, but to keep it simple, if you want a free tool, we're gonna be using IntelliJ IDEA Community Edition. So if we scroll to the bottom, well, not to the very end, but to the bottom in here, you've got choose your edition. Ultimate, which is paid software, or the community edition, which is completely free. So you can now just hit download and install it, or there's actually another possibility, and this other possibility is actually what I'm using, which is called Toolbox app. So right again in here, developer tools, plugins and services, we've got the Toolbox app. If you use this tool, you can actually manage all the IDEs from JetBrains, so it's actually kinda easier if you have more than one. Now, if you have the Toolbox installed, you can actually search in here for the IntelliJ IDEA Community Edition. It's almost in the very end, and you can just hit install. And a heads up from my side, here in developer tools you can actually find Rust. However, in JetBrains, Rust is still just a plugin for the IDEs, it's not a standalone IDE. So if you go in here and you hit install, you will actually be taken into the marketplace where the plugins live. So this is not what you want to do yet. Alright, getting back in here, as you can see, I've got IntelliJ IDEA Community Edition installed, so let's open it. Now, when you first open IntelliJ IDEA Community Edition, you're gonna be greeted with this window. And it's gonna propose to you the new UI, which I very much recommend. So I'm gonna hit Enable New UI. And then hit Restart. As I mentioned, Rust is a plugin for the IDEs, so we're gonna install that plugin now. So we go into plugins, then we can type Rust, although I can already see it in here, Rust, and then hit install. And as you can see, it's gonna ask us to restart IDE once more. Now, to make sure it all works out perfectly, let's hit new project. I'm gonna name the project Rust Sandbox. I'm going to change the location of the project. For a moment, we're skipping the Git repository and we go straight into the language, and as you can see, you've gotta pick Rust. Let's go with the default and let's go create. I'm going to enlarge the whole IDE so you can see a bit better, and already in here I can present you the most important shortcut for us in the IDE, which is Shift. You just have to hit Shift twice, and here you can pretty much look for anything that the IDE can do, which is awesome. So what we are going to do is zoom, because that's how you do a zooming of the IDE. I'm gonna pick the second one, and then I'm gonna do 150, 175, 175%. Here on the right we've got meet the new UI. I'm happy with what we've got, so I'm gonna click finish setup. If you don't see what I'm seeing right now, you have to go to the left side to the project view and select sources and main. And just to check out it actually works, we're gonna hit the run button. As you can see, we actually see the hello world, so we're golden, everything works, we're all set up for the next lesson. And if you just wanna be super sure, you can put in your own name and run again. Here we go. Alrighty then, we've got Rust installed, we've got the IDE, we've got the plugin, we've made sure everything works now. We're golden. Thank you very much for today. I've got a Diablo 4 server slam to attend, so bye.